You know, it's hard to keep track of where the president stands on the issues, given that his views seem to change so rapidly. Now, the matter of prosecuting former Bush administration officials is no exception. As late as Sunday, Rove Hannity was declaring that this is not a time for retribution. But lo and behold, Minister of Spin, Robert Gibbs, well, he came out singing a very different tune today.
The president and the attorney general believe, and both stated last week, that those that undertook actions based on their legal understanding and their good faith understanding of what was legally permissible, as the president said today, shouldn't be prosecuted. At the same time, the president believes that nobody in the country is above the rule of law. I just don't want to prejudge in your continuum. I'm just not a part of the good faith.
And here to comment on all of this, we go to Karl Rove. Karl, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Sean.
All right, but besides this being a flip-flop, which is the least important issue in my mind, Karl, Vice President Cheney, in this interview, was very clear in saying, if we're going to release the techniques, why don't we release the effectiveness of the techniques? George Tenet said that this program alone on 60 Minutes was worth more than the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, and what they have been able to tell us about future attacks. So is that fair to release all of these documents?
Sure, as long as they've released the limits to which America will go to extract this information, let's share the information that was extracted and saved America from further attacks. We know, for example, it's already been part of the public record, that the interrogation of these high-value targets kept them from being able to attack Los Angeles by flying airplanes into the Liberty Tower, the tallest building in Los Angeles, which was one of their plans. But look, let's step back for a minute. What the Obama administration has done in the last several days is very dangerous. What they've essentially said is, if we have policy disagreements with our predecessors, what we're going to do is we're going to turn ourselves into the moral equivalent of a Latin American country run by colonels and mirrored sunglasses, and what we're going to do is prosecute systematically the previous administration or threaten prosecutions against the previous administration based on policy differences. Is that what we've come to in this country? That if we have a change of administration from one party to another, that we then use the tools of the government to go systematically after the policy disagreements that we have with the previous administration? Now, that may be fine in some little Latin American country that's run by, the latest junta. It may be the way that they do things in Chicago, but that's not the way we do things here in America. Well, and I thought this was reprehensible, not only Mr. Gibbs, but also, frankly, with all due respect to the president, what he said in the Oval Office today when he implied that he was open to and would encourage his attorney general to look at, should charges be filed against the former attorney general and the lawyers who prepared these memos. I thought it was reprehensible.
Well, these guys now going to all have to get lawyers here and lawyer themselves up. And Joe Lieberman, I thought, had a good line. Now, I don't think I've ever heard this from a sitting senator who has aligned himself with a particular party, where he says, this doesn't help the U.S., but this does help our enemies. Do you agree this helps our enemies?
Look, I think the release of these memos helped our enemies enormously. It makes, when General Hayden was on the other day and was talking about how we have told the enemy the outer limits of where we're willing to go. Talk about creating a recruitment document. They can now say, the enemy can now go to jihadists and say, you don't need to worry about the Americans. Here's what they used to say that they were willing to do, and there were limits on that, and now they won't even do that. So if you ever get caught, don't worry, you'll get nice pastries and good clean coffee and a nice place to stay until they spring you out. And heck, you may end up in the United States of America, in the belly of the great Satan. I mean, this thing today is really, it ought to be troubling to any American, Republican or Democrat. Are we going to set up a policy that if you're a new administration and you disagree with your predecessors on a big complex question, that you're going to threaten investigations and you're going to threaten indictments and all over a policy disagreement? And not only that, but think about this. We're sitting here saying to our intelligence agencies, keep America safe. But guess what? If you even abide by the advice that you're given, you could potentially be a risk. You don't think these people at the CIA and other intelligence agencies have been nervous and worried about how they might be at risk over the last couple of years, and particularly over the last couple of months? I mean, Carl, this is doing real damage. People are going to be pulling in and not doing the most that they can do to keep America safe.
Let's just look at the last couple of weeks here, starting with the apology tour, starting with America is arrogant, not extolling America's virtues. Hugo Chavez gives him an anti-American book, and he accepts it. He sits through a 50-minute diatribe by Daniel Ortega in one particular instance. Ahmadinejad, at this UN conference, is spewing anti-Semitism and denying the Holocaust, and immediately in Reuters reports the State Department still wants to have a dialogue with this guy. You once coined the phrase the pre-9/11 mentality. I mean, how do you interpret all this?
Well, I'm writing my column for Thursday for the Wall Street Journal on exactly this subject because, you call it an apology tour. I like to call it the International Confession Tour because, what he's doing is he's going out there and saying America sinned, and I'm going to atone for our sins. And today, I thought it was amazing. Did you watch Robert Gibbs today? He was asked about the trip and all the things that the president was saying, and he said that President Obama had changed the image of America around the world, and that as a result, we are safer and stronger. No, we're weaker. If you're an ally of the United States and you look at how, you're in a Baltic country or Poland or Czech, and you've stood up with the United States and said, you bet, we're going to help you put up a missile defense over Europe to protect us against an Iranian missile coming our direction. And the Russians step up and say, if you do that, we're going to target you with weapons, with nuclear weapons. And you stand strong with the United States. And then you have Barack Obama saying, well, you know what? We really got to review this policy seriously because I really don't want to, our relationship with the Russians has been allowed to drift. So maybe I need to hug the Russians closer. You're an ally of the United States in the Baltics, Poland, or Czech, and you're now saying, what the heck is going on in America? You look down in Latin America, and you're an ally of the United States, and that nut Chavez is up there, glad-handing the President of the United States, and the President has not even done the minimal thing of saying, before I meet with Chavez, I'm going to make certain that I am seen standing with our allies in the region so I don't give a propaganda victory to Chavez. So the first thing people see is me standing with our allies in countries like Colombia. And instead, if you don't think those images of Chavez and Obama are being played around the region and being spun in a way that is advantageous to Chavez, we are kidding ourselves. And why are we doing this? It's because this president believes that his personal popularity is somehow going to change the world. It didn't in Europe when he went over there for the G20. It didn't in NATO when he went for the NATO meeting. It didn't in Turkey. It didn't in Latin America. He is underestimating our enemies and overestimating his personal popularity and his charm.
I'm going to tell you, through the prism of history, in 90 short days, he's changed this country and he's put us on a weaker footing. Carl Rove, thanks for being with us.
I'm not a crook.